Hi, hi. Good evening. Oh my God. Hindi na naman ako nakapag-record ng isang araw. Gusto nga. Tapos ano pa, naulan ng malakas sa labas. Nakulog. Oh my God, nakakatakot naman. Baka biglang baka mawala ng kuryente, mamatay yung PC. Oh, masayang yung record ko. Sana naman masave. Kung mamatay man. At ano na tayo, nasa act 2 na tayo at tarito. Nakakilala na natin si Lilly-sama ng mas mabuti at mga kung ano-ano pa sa kanya. At sana'y malaman magbukas sa atin si Lilly-sama kung ano man. Mag-depend. Tsaka sana naman magbukas na rin ako kay Lilly-sama. Kasi hisaw pala. At let's go. Load. Unidentified drinking object. My God. Mag-ano ba dito? Yung parang what can I say? Amazake, yun ba yun? Mga ganun ba? Alam niyo yun, yung sweet shemai, yung minsan sa mga manga or sa anime, yung trope na kapag umiinom sila ng ganon, yung iba, yung parang kahit mahinang-mahina, nalalasing pa rin. Meron ba talagang ganon? Wait lang, kunin ko lang yung aking mahiwagang panyo. I'm back. Sinisipon kasi ako. Masyado na kasing lumalamig dahil sa buong magdamag na ulan. Hindi nahinto. Pero mas gusto ko 'yan kaysa naman na pagkainit. Sobrang init parang maano ko, yung aking kaluluwa maano din, matutusta. I walk down the hall of the girls' dormitories, my school bag in hand. A doll lies inside, carefully placed on top of a small box. I've been carrying the box in there for a while now. Still not sure of what to do with it. Nga pala, bumili tayo nung doll para kay Hana ko, tapos ewan ko kung bakit natin binili yung kay music box. Pero syempre, para kay Lilly-sama. Haha. This whole situation's come to think of it. Huh? This whole situation, come to think of it, it is bizarre. While I've known of Hanako's upcoming birthday for a while now, I had no idea of exactly what the celebration would be until I found a single note left in the abandoned tea room earlier today. I hold it up and read it again, double checking the instruction. The plain black handwriting fairly legible despite Lily's blindness, clearly thanks to considerable effort and care. Hisaw. Will be holding a party at my place. Please come at 6 o'clock to room 225 in the girls' dormitory. Sorry for notifying you this way, but I have class representative duties. Lily Sato. Oh, what a impressive. Kahit bulagin nakapagsulat. Nice. Not reassured, I continue walking down the hallway until I reach Lily's dormitory room. I hesitate for a second but eventually give 3 sharp taps on the door. Wait, pwede ba yun? Yung pwede kang pumasok sa girls' dormitory? Meron bang permission? Di ba alam ko pagkakaroon, kailangan pa permission doon. Kasi may mga iba din ako nakakita yung kapag pumapasok sa ganyan. Basta alam mo na. A brief and muffled exchange of words can be heard from the other side. Listening closer, I can just pick out Hanako and Lily's voices. As they finish, Lily calls out, "Might that be Hisaw?" "Yep, I got the note you left for me. You can come in. The door is unlocked." Glad that I managed to get the right room, I press down on the handle and let myself in. As the door swings open, my greeting to them is stolen from my mouth. Phew! Lily sits at a low table in the center of the room in her pajamas. Sleepwear, nice. While on the other side sits Hanako in a nightgown. Being dressed in only my normal school clothes, I feel quite out of place. Pumasok si Mother. Oh my God. Binigyan kami ng gamot. Ano to? Meron na rin ba akong arrhythmia? Vitamins lang. Madami kasing nagkakatrangkaso nowadays. What can I say? They're weak. They're pathetic. I steal a quick glance at the lovely sight of the two, my eyes tearing themselves from Lily's long, thin and pale legs only with a measure of reluctance. Phew! Phew! Hi. Hi, I think I brought everything that was needed. Whew! Ha! Ha! Oh! She smiles and nods. I wonder if she's even aware of the pleasant sight she makes. The thin dark blue silk of her pajamas really suits her, accentuating both her eyes and her curves. The look of her last night, the tentative and almost shy demeanor, seems all but replaced by her coy nature. It's nice to see her confidence return, though I can't help casting my mind back to how she looked back then. I look to Hana who nervously sits opposite her in her gown. It isn't a surprise that she'd wear something so conservative, though it definitely looks cute. Hi Hanako, happy birthday. O tanjobi omedetou gozaimashita. Pachi pachi, pam 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 pam. Thank you. She's unusually skittish, despite the fact that she's warmed up to me considerably over the weeks we've come to know each other. This is a pretty unusual situation, I guess. Feel free to take a seat, Hisaw. I'll just pour you two some tea. Sure thing. Lily takes the steaming red teapot from the side of the table and gently pours its contents into our teacups as I take a seat beside them, setting my bag against the nearby wall. With my senses returned and hormones somewhat calmer, I realized that this is the first time I've ever been in Lily's room. Whew! Girl's room. Noise! The first thing I notice is ambient smell just slightly different from that in mine. Probably faint perfume or nail polish. It could be anything of a girl's, really. Another is the plain nature of the room, visually. Beige walls, a smart yet unadored cabinet, that lack of posters of wall hangings is distinctly utilitarian. Something I should have anticipated given her blindness. The only thing that really seems out of the ordinary is several piles of books sitting on the floor, each reaching from roughly knee height to waist height. Some of them have printed tiles, others are entirely blank except for dots of braille. Hindi ko pa rin talaga alam kung paano i-pronounce. Hindi ko pa nasa-search. The fact that the ones with printed titles are uniformly in English is interesting, though not completely unexpected. She did mention her parents impressing the language upon her and Akira after all. Your room looks nice, Lily. I hear a call of thanks from beside my shoulder, looking back to Hanako. Her gaze is fixed on her lap and her hands are nervously clutching her gown. It's now that I notice why. With these clothes on, the extent of her scar is far more visible, reaching down her neck out to cover her right shoulder. Consider this a party of her. She doesn't really look like she's enjoying the experience now that I'm here. So how old are you turning? 18? Her looks of surprise, not all helped by her total lack of skill at hiding her feelings, showed that she was trying to mentally tune me out. This is really quite awkward. Yes. On the plus side, there's only 2 more years till you can drink. So who's older, you or Lily? Lily, she had her birthday in February. What about yours? Earlier this year, so it's already passed. Unstated is that it passed while I was stuck in the hospital. That was a particularly low point of the experience. Conversation with her dries up as quickly as expected. It isn't long before Lily's finished preparing our drinks, setting down the 3 teacups in front of us. I pick mine up, immediately noticing a much stronger aroma and taste than the tea we've been having. Huh, it tastes different than the tea we have in school. It's a different variety, rather than the kind we've been having there. You've never tasted orange Jaipur? Jaipur? I don't know how to pronounce that boy before. Not that I can remember. I usually drink coffee after all. Like when we were in town. This is nice though. As we settle down and sip, Hanako seems to become more relaxed, or at least a bit less tense about my presence. We all finish our cups at about the same time, with Hanako failing rather badly at hiding her anticipation for the cake. That's sitting to the side, begging to be eaten. Come to think of it, I feeling very eager myself. First things first though, Lily. Yes, now is good. Each of us knowing exactly what the other means, I lean sideways and dig around in my bag for the doll I bought Hanako as Lily gets up and retrieves her gift. Hiding our gift in our hands, We present them both on the table at the same time. Happy birthday! Happy birthday! Hanako silently sits, look at them for seconds, and out of sheer surprise. My little my little wooden doll, replete with Victorian era dress and little hat, lies next to a light brown and fluffy stuffed bear from Lily. She clutched at her gown as she moved to speak, not taking her eyes off the modest presents. Thank you, Lily and Hisaw. Ho ho! Hug from Onesama. Her her voice begins to crack as Lily reaches forward, wrapping her in a soft embrace. The sight of Hanako holding Lily so tightly is heartwarming, so much so that I couldn't wipe the smile off my face even if I wanted to. Maybe it's Yuri all along. Oh my god. Nice. It's Yuri all along. Nice. As Lily gently rests her face on Hanako's head, she speaks so quietly and softly that I can barely hear. Happy birthday, Hanako. Happy birthday. Hanako. magkaiba yung tono eh. Yung isa, ano, seryosong seryoso. Comfort na comfort. Worried. Yung isa, happy birthday. Normal na normal. Or ano, parang iniinis ka pa. Happy birthday. Hanako gives a small nod, holding on to Lily for a time before breaking off and wiping an eye. I guess that for Hanako, simply having someone, anyone to be there and love her would be special. The fact that Lily and I can now share that role for her is something I think I will always be grateful for. Wow, wow, wow. Masyado kang mabilis. Agad-agad. Nandun ka na agad, roll ka na agad. Accepted na agad ni Hanako. Hanako gently takes the doll and teddy bear, holding them both to her chest as she warmly smiles. For a long time, all three of us simply sit in happy silence. The quiet is not broken until Lily's soft voice beckons. Shall we have at the cake then? Her proposal is met with two looks of unhidden anticipation. No argument for me. Baka nga makita. Okay. Phew! That was good. I contentedly sit back, both Lily and Hanako looking just as satisfied with the food as I. It took some effort, but we managed to finish off the cake in one go. I don't think I could fit any more in. I think next time I'll buy a smaller cake. Hanako and I gave a chuckle, but I can't help noticing that come this time next year, we'll have graduated from Yamako. The fact is, that fact is somewhat depressing. Oo nga pala, huwag graduate. Damn. Since I finally feel as if my life is starting to get back into some kind of order. Idly looking around Lily's neat and orderly room, her books catch my eye once again. This may be a little impetuous, but my curves get the better of me. Besides, I don't think she'll mind in any case. Hey, Lily, do you mind if I take a look at one of your books? You're quite welcome to Hisaw. That said, if you can overcome two language barriers, I will be quite impressed. Two, Braille and oh right, English. She gives a nod. I knew you were studying, but I'm still amazed that you're this proficient at it. One could say it's a perfect way to avoid people borrowing my collection. She says it in jest, but I am a little disappointed. Having all this book around me with no way of reading them feels like one big tease. Hanako giggles quietly as I reach over the closest pile, plucking the topmost book with only a cursory glance. Death on Denial. In large letters on the cover is the only printed text to be seen. Damn. Parang ito yung mga nakakita ko sa sa Pokemon. Dun sa Pokemon Emerald na Reggie Gigas. Oh my god, baka nga Braille yun. I sit down for a while with the book open on my lap as Lily and Hanako talk. Try as I might to fill out the dots of Braille printed on each page, they seem to blend into one another and become indistinct. I thought this to be a lot easier than it actually is. With some practice though, I could see someone with a better sense of touch than mine managing to read at a pretty fast speed. Noticing a silence that had probably begun earlier, I look up from the dotted pages to see Lily smiling as Hanako sips another cup of tea. Is something wrong? Quite the opposite. Your curse is quite endearing. I am inordinately pleased by the praise, though I can feel my cheeks heating up a little. Thanks, but I don't know how else I could act. To be honest, I wasn't altogether sure of how you saw us, since you were a new transfer student from another school. If you'd pitied us, I would have been quite offended. There's a certain edge to Lily's voice, one that I'd quite possibly place as pride. Glancing over to Hanako, she seems even more subdued than usual, looking towards Lily rather than me. I wouldn't worry about that, considering the position I've found myself in. I'm perhaps the last person that should be dispensing pity on others. My parents' first interaction with me after my heart attack, I wouldn't want anyone to see that kind of face. I catch myself from going any further, but not soon enough. Both of the girls seems to be put off, Lily especially. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have gone that far. An awkward silence reigns for a few beats, thankfully ended as Lily head sparks up in a gesture I've come to easily recognize. Hear something? The door. Everyone looks towards it, trusting in Lily's senses. True enough, the door handle shudders and turns, a flash of yellow and black slipping through. Akira Sato is in the house! Whoa, 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 whoa! Happy birthday, Hanako! Ah, thank you. Akira takes a seat at the table as she plops her tall bag beside her. She has her trademark boisterous air about her, making no small deal of her entrance. Hanako clutches her gown to steady herself, but doesn't appear to shake in after she settles down. I guess she must have met Akira before. Not a Not a huge surprise given how close Akira and Lily are. Akira doesn't seem to be the least bit put off by Hanako's scarring despite its prominence, but she also doesn't pull any punch in how she acts despite Hanako's shy nature. I thought you said you'd have to work, Akira. Did you manage to get off for a while? Kinda. I feel bad about teaching the guys doing overtime, so I gotta get back soon. But I felt bad about not coming to your cute little Hanako's birthday too. So for now, I'm here. She grins widely at Hanako, flowers into a full blush as she pins her eyes downwards toward her lap. Her mouth seems to widen and retract over and over as if she was trying to suppress a smile out of embarrassment. It's a little strange how her reaction seems to be more immediate and forceful than how she's embarrassed by the way she looks. All she manages to give in return is a tiny nod, failing to hide her appreciation to any great extent. Oh. Wala akong naintindihan. No, binasa ko lang, pero wala akong naintindihan. Not that many people give her positive attention. I suppose it makes me respect how well Akira can handle her, making her so happy compared to what little I could do. Diba sabi ko sa'yo, masyado kang nag-a-assumptions kung anong role mo agad. Now then, before I go, she reaches nababara yung aking ilong. Wait lang. Mamamatay na ako sa aking mahiwagang gargle lang din ako, gargle. She reaches into the bag beside her and grandly displays its content. Wow, wine! Out come two large glass bottles, both with long French names on the labels. Hanako's expression is an odd mix of surprise and curiosity, and I suspect mine's no different. Lily not seeing the proceedings is oblivious to what's going on. Lily not seeing the proceeding is oblivious to what's going on. Akira, this isn't. What is it? Wine. One red, one white. Akira, that's. Relax. It's not like Shizune is here to scold you. Lily has a point. That's not exactly allowed on campus or anywhere really. We're still short of the legal drinking age, remember? Rituals for someone practically drooling as he examines a bottle. She got me there. I am genuinely interested in trying some, even just a little. Hoho! Youth's curiosity, sabi nga doon nila. Yung parang, kasi nga, bata, tapos lagi mo nakakitang iniinom, tapos, kaya lasa. Pero ako, natry ko na rin yan. Masyadong mapait. Tapos, nagsuka ako. Mahina ako sa akin. I have super low alcohol tolerance. Nagsuka ako. Sobrang dami ng suka. She got me there. I am even just a little. While Hanako may not be handling one herself, her look does tell me that she's far from opposed to the notion as well. Lily rubs her forehead, giving up the fight that she knows Akira would win due to simply not caring enough about those funny rules and regulations. Just don't breathe a word of this to anyone in the school, please. I beg of you. I'm not stupid. Don't worry. That said, I gotta get but I gotta... That said, I gotta get back to work pretty soon. So soon, but you only just arrived. Sorry, Lily. Good to see you two again, though. And you, Hisao. See you later then. Goodbye, Akira. What a storm. Bigla-bigla na lang dumadating. She lifts herself up with a grunt and walks out of the room, leaving us alone with the two items on the table. Interesting. Lily gives a nervous Lily gives her nervous giggle at her sister's antics as Hanako takes a wine bottle. So, what do you think, Lily? She rests her elbow on the table and pinches the bridge of her nose. Thinking things through, she really doesn't seem to be able to keep up with her sister. Well, it's already here, we may as well have some. Ho ho! No sooner does she say it that I take a quick glance around the room for glasses. A small groan above me reminds me that Lily retired to rest on her bed for a bit a few minutes ago. Almost completely drained of energy, I managed to stand up and drag myself out of to the side of the bed, sitting down and leaning my back against it. Good God. Yeah. Lily's groan sounds lifeless. Too much to drink. My head hurts. Yeah, too much to drink. Di ba dapat drink too much? Too much to drink. Parang weird. I rest my head back and idly stare at the ceiling. What an unmitigated disaster. Like proper idiots, we all drank the night away with one glass after another. Hanako simply fell to the side asleep. And it's a miracle I don't feel as ill as Lily. Hey, Hisa, I'm sorry about today. I didn't think this would happen. It's fine, Lily. To tell the truth, I had a lot of fun today. Lily? I think Hanako did too. No, she certainly did. There's a short silence before another groan resounds from the supine Lily. Huh? You okay? As you said, I just drank too much. What's the time? The time, it's... I quickly look at my wristwatch. Its numerals barely legible in the gloom. About midnight. Curfew's in effect then. Yeah, guess as much. We all have to sleep here for tonight. As soon as I say it, I hear the sheets moving as Lily starts to sit up. Hanako. Oh no. No. Go back to sleep. Don't try to get up. Isa, I have to. You're in worse shape than me by any stretch. Get some rest. But what about... I'll grab some spare blankets and put them over her. Put them over her, don't worry. As I give a deep yawn and stand to retrieve them, I he I hear her lie back down with a soft thud. Thank you, Hisaw. No problem. It's the least I can do. You look outright wasted. Whoa, oh yeah, hell yeah. I'm not wasted, just a little bit tired. He starts spouting, a slight slur beginning to distort her words. As the alcohol takes hold of her again, I grab a couple of blankets rolled up at the end of her bed. Quietly walking over to Hanako, I carefully lay the blankets over her peacefully sleeping figure, making sure not to wake her up. The thick smell of alcohol coming off her breath makes me doubt she'd wake up no matter what I did though. I stand and take one last measure of the room. Two girls both very drunk and one guy sleeping overnight with them in the female student's dormitory. What a scandal. That be if it broke out. As I move to sit back eh? As I move to sit back down at the side of the bed, I still one glance at Lily. Her sprawling disheveled figure lies resting peacefully, slightly turned to the side. I crouched down to get a better look. Yeah, yeah, Lilly-sama, so defenseless. Paano kaya kapag inon ko yung adult content? Ano kaya? Baka may ibang, oh my god, oh my god. Just. Her white skin blends it with the white pillow of the bed. A look of slumber-born peacefulness on her face. Usually, she seems so confident and forward, always there and caring for Hanako. Now, though she seems painfully delicate, I think back to Hanako's presence. I thought it'd be a nice occasion for her, but I'd hardly expected it to be so moving. One birthday after another, year after year. Just she and Lily all alone. I guess it wasn't just the presents she liked. Resigning myself to an uncomfortable sleep, I sit down at the side of the bed once again and rest my tired arms beside me. Hey, Hisaw. Lily's voice is so quiet I can barely hear it. She must be on the verge of sleep. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for what? For being here. That's okay. As I hear a deep breath, it's obviously Lily's gone to sleep. After closing my eyes, it doesn't take long for slumber to take me as well. Hot damn. Hisaw? Hisaw, are you? The soft, barely audible voice lingering in my ear slowly wakes me. I wish I could be awoken like this more often. With a mumble, I slowly open my... Whoa! Ah! Taken by surprise at the face hovering curiously millimeters from my, I make our heads collide with a harsh thud. The impact of our foreheads caused both of us to fall backwards and yelp in pain, Lily sounding more like a squeak toy than a person. Ow, 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 ow. I slowly rub my forehead with one hand, supporting myself with the other. Lily lies a few feet ahead, doing just the same. Her face obviously pained. Ah, sorry, your face was kinda close and I acted on reflex. You okay? My head. It seems she's not actually okay. Come to think of it, I doubt that the impact alone is what causing her head so much pain. Hangover, you drank a fair bit last night. She silently nods in confirmation as I lever myself up. I offer a hand to her and help her back onto her feet. Glancing behind her, I find that Hanako still fast asleep. It's not fair. I only drank as much as you did. That's very different from what I remember. And anyways, girls have a lower tolerance than men. Maybe, but maybe. I am a girl. I have a lower tolerance. Maybe I am a girl. That doesn't help. Fine, I'll get you a glass of water. Just be careful not to trip over Hanako. I rub the sleep out of my eyes and at least some of it. Parang nababara kasi yung ilong ko, hindi ako makapagsalita ng maayos. Wait lang. Sorry ah. I, as I walk to the counter, tending to some with a hangover isn't the way I like to spend a morning. It only takes a few seconds for the glass to fill, the clear water reflecting the silver of light that makes it through the thin curtains. It looks like Lily's taking a seat on the side of bed. I walk over to her while taking care to step over the peacefully sleeping Hanako and place the glass into her outstretched hands. Thank you. No problem. I take a seat next to her, the soft bed having a surprising amount of give. Huh? Huh? I take a seat next to her, the soft bed having a surprise amount of give. Give. She drinks slowly and methodically. A long silence passes with only Hanako's soft breathing to be heard. With some measure of guilt, I look at Lily's face and attempt to read her expression. Her brow is furrowed, di ba borrowed, and she looks to be lost in thought. For a moment, I hesitate, but eventually place a hand on her shoulder in an attempt to reassure her. I didn't expect her to flinch rather noticeably at that, though. Ah, sorry, I didn't mean to. Lily quickly shakes her head in a somewhat more violent than usual for huh? In a manner somewhat more violent than usual for her. She takes a long breath to steady herself before letting her head sink. I must look terrible right now. I move to protest but quickly realize that it would be futile to do so. That said, I want her to open up more. If you want to talk about anything, I'm here. Lily gives a self-deprecating snort as if to mock her own emotions. There's just a lot of happening right now. I'm sorry for being so strange recently, especially back when we were in town. Even now, I'm a bit confused about everything. Believe me, I know how that feels. She smiled wistfully, resting a cheek on the backs of her fingers. We're a couple of broken young fools, aren't we? Come on, don't say that. Come graduation will be back out. Come on, don't say that. Come graduation will be back out in the real world. The real world. Sometimes I surprise myself with the way I think about things. I guess the strange divorced feeling of Yamako and the surrounding town compared to the outside world still hasn't become natural. Maybe it never will. It's strange in hindsight, being isolated from society like this doesn't feel as bad as it probably should. A wee grin on her face, Lily seems to share at the same sense of amusement at the idea. Eventually, though, her smile drops. I'll be going back to Scotland for a week or two soon. Is that why we had to reschedule Hanako's birthday party? She gives an affirmative nod. You'll be able to see your family again at least. You're not looking forward to it. I haven't met my family in 6 years. I don't even know how to act around them anymore. Wait, what? Wait, what? My mouth hangs open as I try to process what she said. If she's 18, that means she'd have been only 12 when they left. I may have seen very little of my parents, but with them both working long hours. But I feel utterly useless as I struggle to find some way to respond. That's, but why? Why did they leave? Or why are they inviting Akira and me back? Both, I suppose. My father's business has its headquarters in Scotland, and an executive position became available for him there. In the end, he had to move permanently. My mother followed him, but Akira and I stayed in Japan for the sake of both Akira's job with the Japanese branch of my father's company and my education. As for the latter, one of my aunts is gravely sick. Ah, I'm sorry. Don't be. It feels strange, really. We're being summoned there for her, yet we've barely met before. I can't even remember the sound of her voice. Equally strange in the total lack of antipathy. Antipathy? Ang gandang word. She feels towards her family for doing such a thing. I can't help feeling slightly humbled. That said, her wistful exterior is just hiding her emotions. Seeing her like this is depressing. Knowing what to do, I lift myself off the bed. Lily noticed the bed's movement, her head perking up and her hand reaching sideways to feel where I was. Hisaw? I walk over to my bag, still leaning against the wall. Unbuckling the front flap and retrieving the opaque bag from within, I take the small plain box in my hands. Hold your hands out, Lily. She looks surprised for a moment, but eventually acquiesces? Oh my god. Oh my god. Nabobobo ako. Anong, what the, what word is that? I am amused by her look of curiosity when I place the music box into her open palms. Palms? Her typically delicate way of handling it, making it seem as if it were fragile enough to break if breathed on. She wordlessly brings it in front of her face, her slender fingers feeling out its contours and patterning. Eventually, her fingers find the resist line between the lid and the body of the box, and her thumb effortlessly pops open the lid. Oh, nice. I take a seat on the bed next to her, watching her face silently and intently. She sits completely motionless as she listens to the diminutive tiny melody. Teeny or tiny, ewan ko kung teeny melody, her mouth just slightly open. It takes a long while before she closes the lid with a small snap, bringing the curtain down on the miniature performance playing in her hands. The smile on her face, gentle and wistful. Ano ba yung wistful na yan? Shows that I made the right decision. Think of it as a going away present for your trip to Scotland. I will. A wrestling shuffling can be heard from the floor in front of us, the sound having woken Hanako. She climbs out of the blankets I put over her, looking befuddled, and wiping the sleep from her eyes. I see, you're finally up. I see, you're finally awake. We need to... Alam niyo na yun. What? Hanako looks around the room with her eyes only half open, her mind far from being as awake as her body. Her dazed state makes me and Lily chuckle. Phew! Hot, 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 hot damn! Lily-sama's legs. Mwah! As Lily gets off the bed and tends to Hanako, I take one last look around the room. I guess I'd better get going then. There'll be more question if I am seen leaving the girls' dormitories in the morning. Goodbye, Hisaw. Oh, goodbye. I stand and walk to the door, picking up my somewhat lighter bag along the way. After I leave the room and enter the hallway, though, I hear Lily's footstep behind me. What's wrong? Without a word, she strides up to me. I freeze as I feel her hand slide onto my cheek. Seemingly every nerve taking in the feeling of her fingers and palm upon it. Immediately after, her face slowly moved next to mine. A light momentary touch of her lips brushing against my other cheek. Kiss? For a moment, everything seems to stand still. I absently bring my fingers to my cheek as if I try to recapture the fleeting feeling. Lily. That's my thank you, Hisaw. Kinis ako sa chicks. Oh my God. Hot damn. Ay, kinis si Hisaw pala. Sad reality. Thank you for your presence. Have a nice day in school. And with that, she disappears behind her door and gently closes it. The muffled voices of her and Hanako audible through it much as they were yesterday night. Tat 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 tat. I think I'd be hard pressed not to have a nice day after that. I walk away with a certain spring to my step. I think there were some people around that glance at me emerging from girls' dormitory building, but I find it difficult to care. Hot damn! Nice! He-chan, go away. He-chan, leave me alone. Come on, He-chan. Let me sleep. After 2 nights of not being able to sleep at all, the last thing I want is to be woken when I finally manage to. It may be the last period of class with a textbook as my pillow, but I'll take whatever sleep I can get by this point. See, He-chan. See, He-chan. Even Shi-chan wants you to get up. I don't care what Shizune wants. Leave me alone. Jeez, He-chan. I'll just have to wake. Wait, Misha's going to? You. This is bad. I'm up, I'm up. You don't have to. I can feel my face flowering into a scarlet red blush. The students still in class are sitting bolt upright and staring at the shouting fool who was sleeping just moments before. Damn it. I left my head smack back down on the table with a noticeable thud. Wahahaha! Musha's trademark uncontrolled laughter reverberates through the classroom. As I turn my mournful eyes to the bespectacled Shizune beside her, she carefully adjusts her glasses, desperately trying to maintain a look of serious disapproval. So, narrowing my eyes, I can see the badly hidden grin spreading across her face. Eto, Shizune. Shizune looks away quickly as she crosses her arms slightly bare only on the edge of her control. Wahahahahaha. Misha's laughter doubles in volume as she glances at Shizune. All I can do is drag my hand down my face in resignation. You too. Who was the one who slept in class, He-chan? Yeah, it was me. Poor Shi-chan. What? Poor Shi-chan was having a fit trying to wake you up, weren't you? I moved my eyes back to the standoffish Shizune who with a single half of confirmation returns to looking away with with her arms crossed. Why was Shizune trying to wake me up? Shi-chan wanted you give to give you the handouts the substitute teacher gave out while He-chan was sleeping. Handouts? I suddenly find two sheets of paper thrust down in front of my face. Following the hand holding them, I see the still spouting figure looking down at me with a distinct scowl. I guess I really am in the wrong here. Sorry about that. No dice. Her irritated face still holds. I clasp my hands together and flick my head downwards in apology. Very, very sorry. She huffs and simply drops the paper on the desk. Damn. I look up over my head to see Shizune and Misha signing frantically to each other. A look of frustration on Shizune's face. That exclamation point. It looks to be less of a dialogue, more of a tirade. Ano yung tirade? Punctuated with sidelong glances at me. To say it's unsettling is an understatement. Um, The two suddenly stop signing and look at me in unison, but having exactly the same look of disapproval. In one fluid motion, Misha's head suddenly extends high above me and comes rocketing down. Before I can even hope to react, my head is sent bouncing up and down like a jack in the box. I quickly brings my hand to my head, more out of a reflex than actual pain. Ah, what was that for? I open my eyes to see the two grinning at each other while exchanging an enthusiastic thumbs up. Shi-chan says she forgives you now, Hee-chan. Could you forgive me with a little less force next time? Wah! I look at the two with a blank face. Misha and Shizune, 1. Hisao, nil. Kasama, tangit ang mga violent. Violent tsundere is more. You know, I don't like violent. I hate. I'm not an M. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I am. Oh, Shi-chan also says that you should check your student mail more often. She produces a bright yellow envelope and hands it over with an exuberant grin. Strange, who could have written me a letter? Now is not the time, the most definitely not the place to find out. Not the place to find out though. Giving up on the nap so cruelly stolen from me, I rub my forehead and slowly get up, putting the sheets and envelope in my bag before swinging it over my shoulder. I take a step back, move to depart with a small bow, while Misha clutches her sides laughing and Shizune nods back in a curt farewell. I join the flow of students exiting the open door and turn the corner into the hallway, only to end up face to face with Hanako. Whoa. Hey Hanako. Good afternoon, Hisao. Silence falls between us as busily chatting student pass us by. She's fidgeting constantly, her eyes drawn to her rather unremarkable footwear. I take the bridge of my nose in my fingers while I blink my eyes heavily in an attempt to make things seem clearer. I'm barely staying awake as it is. Hanako, you want to say something? I wanted to give you this. Hmm? She holds out a small rectangular piece of paper. I blink again to make out the text through barely open eyes, slowly starting to make out what's written. Eggs times 2, bread loaf times 1, whole grain cereal times 1, time times 1. A shopping list? I look upwards, raising an eyebrow. I usually go shopping with Lily, but I can't come, so you want me to run errands for you? It's okay if you don't want to. I just thought that maybe she's panicking. I sigh. Yet another battle lost, though this time by a weakly fought surrender. I smile tiredly and rest a hand on her head to calm her down. It's fine. I was going to go anyway. Just the stuff on this list. She nods, then bows deeply twice as if to make her gratitude perfectly clear. We were going to meet outside at the school gates at 6. Thank you. I was going to get it, but I need to study for the test tomorrow. Test. Ah, that's right. Science. How are you doing it? She brightens ever so slightly. I've been spending more time on it than before. I think I can do. I guess, okay. Good work then. She too starts smiling, and much more intensely than I at that. I have full confidence that I can do fine in it without any extra studying. But the fact that she's putting in the effort instead of just reading in the library is heartening. I'll grab your stuff and take it to your dorm in the evening. See ya. With a small wave, we part ways. I'll go do my homework before meeting Lily. I should be able to take care of it in time. Wrangling with a particularly complicated math problem has caused me to be a little bit late for my meeting with Lily. Only a couple of minutes, but enough to make me step smartly out into the courtyard and to the school gate. I make a right turn and start my way towards the small town below, leaving a few students turning the other way to the bus station. I slip my right hand into my pocket as I walk in the orange sunlight of dusk. Thankfully, the sweltering summer heat started to die down, making way for a pleasant school breeze. Cool breeze. When I stretch my hands high above my head, a familiar figure takes form, cane in her right hand. Ah, Lily. She stops and turns around, swiveling her head slightly to try and work out exactly where the voice came from. Hey, it's me. I quickly catch up to her, coming in beside her and matching her slow pace as we resume walking. Good afternoon, Hisao. Hi there. What's up? What's up? I glance up at the sky. A distinct, a distinct tinge of orange discolors the clouds, washing the footpath in its light. Long shadows from the trees fall across the wide road down the hill. So, Hisa, what brings you here? Just going to town to grab some groceries. Hanako sent me. Hanako sent you. Yes, said she needed to study for a test tomorrow. I was going to come down anyway, so I'll just buy her stuff as well. Unspoken is that Lily really could use some help to get food, but it's an obvious fact that neither of us need to state. It's good to hear she's studying for it. I thought the same thing when she asked me to come with you. We continued walking down the street, the familiar sound of her cane echoing through the air as we go, except for the occasional passing car and the leaves whispering the branches. There's a blissful silence. Thank God, I can finally relax for the first time today. I glanced over at Lily. Oh, bakit palapit ka ng palapit? Parang lumalapit ka ba na lumalapit? Bakit ka masya? Stop, stop. The porcelain face of hers never seemed to lack the air of relaxed confidence. I guess the same could be said of her personality too. As she silently walked, her face remaining pointed to the street ahead of her, I looked ahead and savored the cool air blowing over my face. This is probably the calmest moment I have had since the about face my life took so recently. To have it while walking to get some groceries, what a weird life. You need to enjoy, to appreciate your daily life. You need to appreciate the little things in life, that one chapter manga. You need to appreciate it. That na kumain ka ng masarap na pagkain nung nagising ka, na nakapagluto ka ng masarap, na nagising ka ng maayos. Hindi pala ako makakapaggising ng maayos. Ginagawa mo lahat ng gusto mo. Wala kang tinatapakan na ibang tao. Pero maybe gusto mo yung may tinatapakan ibang tao. I don't blame you. I feel the crumpled up note rubbing against my hand in my pocket and pull it out to check its contents. Let's see here. Eggs, bread, cereal, thyme, lettuce, shaved ham. That sounds like quite a bit of carry back along with your own. Yeah, just how much does this girl eat anyway? My mind suddenly clicks that yes, there's actually a person beside me. Wait, I mean, she laughs wholeheartedly. My, Hisaw. Her giggles punctuate her words, though she's making little effort to express them. Quite direct today, aren't we? Yeah, you got me there. Still, it is quite a bit. Usually, I go with shopping with Hanako, so I know what she buys. It's the same thing every week. Huh? Is she a good cook? She gives a nervous giggle. It's usually me who ends up cooking. I used to do so for Akira, so it's not a problem doing it for Hanako as well. You can cook, but as a short hum with amused little emanates from beside me, I wonder if the fact that she seems amused by my comments so often is actually genuine, or rather just from a want to make me more comfortable in addressing her blindness. There are ways around it. Some are more difficult to cook than others because of being unable to see what I'm doing. But it usually only takes a little more time. Fingers can double as very useful measurements tools, for example. It makes sense, but she'd have to be pretty careful not to hurt herself. I wonder how many times that's happened, given that it sounds like she cooked alone for possibly years while Akira worked and her parents were gone. Hot damn! It's a mastery. Nagluluto ka ng bulag. Hot damn. Good. Good talent. With that, the conversation trails off. Compared to the awkward silence of Hanako, Lily seems genuinely content to say what she thinks, and stay quiet when there's nothing to say. The sleek road under my feet is bathed in an orange glow, the occasional fallen leaf crunching underfoot as we walk. I let out a deep yawn, my lack of sleep coming back to haunt me. Did you not get much sleep last night? I couldn't sleep at all for the last 2 nights, probably insomnia. Lily's face suddenly becomes worried. It feels like a personal failure every time she gets worried about my well-being, even if it's genuinely nice to know someone cares. You have insomnia, aren't you going to see the nurse about it? Nah, no real need. It happens before a few times. My meds screw with my sleeping occasionally. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on, it's not your fault. At least I shouldn't have any trouble getting to sleep tonight. You do worry me sometimes. I worry you? I reach around and scratch the back of my neck. I kind of want to address this. Hey, Lily. Hmm? I don't mean to sound weird, but please try to forget about my heart condition. She looks kind of lost. I hardly blame her. I guess what I'm trying to get us at is just don't treat me differently because of it. She bows her head, hides her head slightly, her white cheek reddening almost imperceptibly. It's only natural to worry about those around you. Well, it's still nice to know there's someone like that out there. It may be somewhat embarrassing to say, but it's the truth. Lily takes a breath to regain her composure and manages a gentle smile. Though her cheeks remains flat, true tuloy, though her cheeks remains flushed. The final downhill walk to the store passes in silence. Welcome! Hirashima win! I suppose I'll get my stuff first and Hanako's on the second round. I grab two well-worn red baskets from the stack beside the entrance and pass one to Lily. Just as she did before, she lays it on the ground and slides her retracted cane between the basket's handle before picking it back up with her right hand. When she takes hold of my arm in her own, I'm surprised at just how fast this kind of casual contact became so natural. Phew! Side by side na naman! Nice! Mostly due to necessity, no doubt. Shall we? Sure. While we navigate around the store, the odd person occasionally passing us pays us no heed at all. It's nice compared to the stares and whispers around the city. And we reach each aisle. I quickly check with Lily what she needs and grab it along with what I want, putting our items into their respective baskets. It's an odd feeling to be dependent on so much for something so basic as shopping. Hanako would be practically a necessity for her to pick out what she wants after all. Right, I'm pretty much done with my stuff and Hanako's. You needing anything else, Lily? No, this should be everything. Off we go then. Oddly, there's a queue a mile along. Considering the store only large enough to warrant one counter, seems like it'll take a while. Damn. Lily gives an inquisitive look, unable to see the reason of my complaint. The queue's really long, looks like we'll have to wait. How strange. Sharing the same mood of resignation, we reluctantly take our place at the end of the line. One person finishes, the line moves up. Another person finishes, the line moves up. By the time we finally reach the head of the line, I'm so close to dozing off that Lily has to gently pat me on the back for me to move up. Hisaw. Sorry. She gives a short sigh of consternation as I move up, getting the groceries for Hanako and me put into same separate bags. Thank you, please come again. By the time we emerge from the store, Lily's holding a single bag while I struggle to carry four. Both hands feel well and truly fully it's a lot of work, but thankfully the items in them are light. Even without looking skyward, it's obvious that a surprising amount of time's passed, the road outside being dark and lit by street lamps. Once Lily retrieves her cane, we set out back to the dormitories the way we came, leaving the welcoming warm glow of the store. Despite the road being empty of cars, the full bugs abundantly make up for the lack of noise, constantly clacking and squeaking together. wala bang wala bang BGM, sariling gawa. Ganon. My, Hisa, it's good to find that you're eating well. I'm a growing guy after all. I need to eat all I can. It must be nice being a man. What? Seemingly not noticing or ignoring my surprise at the completely out of the left field comment, she continues on without missing a beat. Weight doesn't really bother you when eating most of the time. I get what you mean. Women tend to worry about stuff like that more than we do, I guess. Exactly. It makes me somewhat of envious, to be honest. Well, it's not like we can outright ignore it. What an affirmative nod. We continue with an affirmative nod. We continue on our walk. Huh? That's right. What is it? Hanako mentioned your birthday was earlier this year. Do any do anything special for it? She gives a long pause, lost in thought for a few seconds as she recalls the event. Not really. It was just Hanako and me having a little party during the night after school. Your birthday is supposed to be a big event, you know. Sounds like a pretty lonely way to spend a birthday, just her and Hanako staying overnight. Birthdays always felt like a family occasion for me. They were a time when, in spite of their full-time jobs, both my parents would make an effort to be there for the day, at least for a party beforehand. It reminds me of how Lily mentioned she hadn't seen her family in such a long time, and even end up moving away from Akira's house afterwards. But I guess it's the same in situation as mundane as this. Considering her inability to read the packaging, just getting groceries would be pain without somebody else around. In the end, she just has Hanako and me, and Akira which is off from work. Be that as it may, she still seems to have many more distant friends among the students, not to mention people like Yuko. It seems to be her own choice that there's such a separation between those who are close to her and those who she only socializes with. It humbles me a little to see how much Lily seems to have her life set up and going just as she wants. Yet, Hanako is there for her to celebrate her birthday. I'm here helping her with shopping. It's a weird kind of symbiosis, I suppose. Are you alright, Hisao? Sorry? You just seem to go very quiet, that's all. Sorry, I was just thinking. Oh, and now I've pick her curiosity. It feels kind of overly personal to talk about though. Hmm. Siyempre, si tell natin, nag-open up na din naman na sa atin si dito, si Lilly-sama. Dapat mag-open up na rin tayo sa kanya. Kaya, tayo ang mag-tell on the truth, tell the truth. It was just kind of, I was thinking about how you seem to have everything so sorted out. Even with Hanako relying on you, I can admit that even I kind of relied on you when I first transferred in. I think it's a good quality to have. I turned to Lily, surveying her reaction. She's forcing herself to look forward and furrowing her brow quite a bit. Her face looks a bit awkward as if she was trying to find just the right words. Lily? I would thank you, but assuming that I don't rely on the presence of others is too much. You'd be wrong to think that Hanako simply depends on me with nothing in return. She seemed to have a bit of trouble saying it, even though it's largely what I thought already. If she's tried so hard to maintain her independence as anyone would have had to in her position, cited or not, maybe she finds it hard to talk about her own needs. It's only now that I realize an omission in what she says. Though I decide to follow it up, largely in jest to avoid things getting too personal. Oh, and what about me? She suddenly runs ahead of me and turns blocking me off. With a smile, she holds her hand behind her as she leans forwards. You're different. Yung ano, yung ano, yung humarap sa sayo, tapos yung parang nasa harapan mo siya, ano, uphill, tapos nasa taas siya, tapos ikaw yung nasa baba, tapos tinitingnan, tapos mas mataas siya sa'yo, tapos yung, okay. Sorry. And with that, she turns back and continues to walk ahead of me, a newfound spring in her step. All I can do is raise an eyebrow and give a dazed grin. I don't think I've ever seen this playful and teasing side of her before. So, I'm different. It's hard to work out the exact context, but knowing her, this ambiguity was intended. Ho ho! What a teasing master, Lilizoma. I appro- I appreciate the tease. Our relationship has been changing, at the very least, simply because I've begun to stand on my own feet more, and started getting more curious about the situation of those around me. As to why, probably a mix of personal curiosity and the want to try and work out how to deal with my situation. I'm less sure of Lily though, that's why her own statement, so similar to my own feelings towards her, throws me off so much. Watching her make her way up the street, cane tapping from left to right, I decide to settle the matter later and just smile. This is a side this is a nice side to her and I don't want to forget it. Oh yeah. Eventually, we get to the girls' dormitories, both my arms aching from the weight of two sets of groceries. We're finally here. I bend down to wipe my forehead with the back of my hand. Lily stops in front of her door and sets down her bag, fishing around in her pocket for the key. Thank you, Hisao. I really appreciate your help. This is nothing. It might be nothing to you, but it's definitely something for me. And with that, she steps through her door, closing it behind her. I blinked. Those were nothing but honest thanks, but I can't help feeling something different about them. Ho ho! It's the Q, the throbbing heart, doki doki. It's the doki doki. Anyway, I have something else to do before I can mull on that at my leisure. I turned back to the door to Hanako's room and proceed to knock twice in quick succession, the bag still in my hand, rustling together. After a couple of seconds, the door slowly opens. If one weren't looking closely, they could be forgiven for thinking it hadn't moved at all. I twist my head to the side to try and peer outside the through the tiny silver gap of a between the door and the door frame. Hey Hanako, I've got your stuff. Ah, with that she opens the door completely, making her plain room visible over her shoulder. Sparsely decorated is probably even more unremarkable than my room. I hold out my right arm, both bags almost pulling it straight back down with their weight. Thank you, Hisao. I'm sorry to make you carry them all this way. It's fine, don't worry. Just don't make me do it every day, okay? Yet I pass the bag to her as I give a light-hearted chuckle. After the initial transfer of weight, she managed to take them easily. I'll be off then. Night, Hanako. Good night. See you in class tomorrow. With a deep bow, her groceries still held in both hands, she stepped back and shuts the door. Making my way downtown, walk, making my way back to my own dorm, I put one bag into my other hand to balance them out. Even as I do so, I can't get Lily's light-hearted smile out of my mind. When I'd first met her, it would have been nearly impossible to imagine her like that. Indeed, it feels like we've become closer in the past few weeks since I first got to know her, both her and Hanako. The time that I spend with her each day, the small exchanges of happiness we share, those small moments of joy as I get closer to her. I'm far from certain, but I don't think these are just the normal feelings of friendship. Once I return to my room, I store away my groceries and begin getting ready for the night. I swap the school books in my bag for those I'll need tomorrow, pulling out the yellow envelope Misha gave me earlier in the process. I got so sidetracked by one thing after another that I couldn't deal with it earlier. Who could have written me, I wonder? The name neatly adorning the back of the envelope freezes me in my tracks. It's been so long since I've seen her writing. There's little chance I would have identified as her otherwise. Oh my God! It's the it's the one who confessed to me, sino? Si Iwasani? Iwashimashi. Basta, ay, yung nag-confess. Oh my God. My God. Paano si Lilly-sama? Oh my God. O baka nakikipag-break din dito. Maybe. Pero, kung naging kami ba? Natuloy ba? Ewan ko. Si Iwaizumi. Tama? Iwaizumi? Ewan ko. Iwan ako pala. Iwaizumi. Sino yun? Pero magandang pangalan. No? Iwan ako. Oh my God. Paano? Si Iwan ako. Paano? Yes, I like you, but Lily some. Oh my God. So. Kakakakakaka. Why should she have written me? I can't think of any good reason for her to do this. Maybe she likes you still. I almost don't open the letter, but there be a little point to that. If I just left it alone, its mere existence would no at me, Gino. No. Would know at me until I did something about it. Wow, Japanese. Wala akong maintindihan. I look down at the piece of paper on my desk, its brightly and summery decoration, beaming happily at me. The letters is in pink, jarring badly with yellow sunflower border on the card. The handwriting is neat. The characters have been written thoughtfully and with an unusual amount of care. I'd barely given the letter of a second thought that when it was given to me, but now I can't get it. Now I can't get its contents out of my mind. Oh my God! At least may na-translate. While I'd like to say that I don't know why she used such an old-fashioned method of communication, considering a poll or an email would be both much faster and easier. The answer feels obvious enough given the content. A letter leaves a comfortable distance between the sender and recipient. Unlike a phone, it isn't required to engage in conversation, and unlike email, there's less expectation of an immediate reply. Statements such as the third year seems to be very anxious about the final exams, and it's so weird to think we are already senior, isn't it? Are just small talk. Small talk that could have been achieved by simply replying to any of the messages I'd sent her while in hospital. The ending, though, is the true reason she sent this. The last couple of lines added almost as an afterthought. I wonder if we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. It's a statement that should hurt. I've always heard breakups are nasty stuff, but it feels like this is simply a reaffirmation of what we both already knew instead. It's the preceding text, no more than small talk, that makes me feel most uneasy. I can figure out why, no matter how long I sit here and look down at this bright and summary piece of paper. If you would like to correspond with me, by all means, write me back. It's plainly obvious that this is not the type of letter to be replied to. In the end, this letter is no more than a simple abdication of responsibility, a final statement to reassure herself that our relation is over. As such, I find I have a little problem in scrunching the letter and envelope into a ball and tossing it into the waste bin, ridding myself of its existence. I go to bed with mixed feelings, cheated out of a pleasant evening by this intruder from the past. Ironically, it takes a while before I can manage to sleep. Hindi ako uminom ng gamot. Oh my God. Mamamatay ba si Hisaw? I sweat profusely, awaiting the dreaded moment. Each tick of the clock tenses my muscle that much more, every minute making more hair stands on end. It's coming for me. I can feel it. Death. Death? Death in the form of a single sheet of paper. I take the small pile of papers from the student in front of me and pass it backwards after plucking off the top piece. Looking to the top right of it, I find my fears realized with that small red circle. 43. I hang my head and sigh in resignation. Cursing under my breath, I can feel the aura of a similar sentiment rising from the entire class. It's strange, but that fact lifts my mood by a minuscule amount. Misery loves company, I suppose. As the teacher opens her mouth, the room braces for the inevitable onslaught, only to be saved at the last minute. We click. We quickly move to collect our bags and leave for lunch post haste. But the teacher delivers a parting broadside. We'll be discussing the scores next lesson. Needless to say, there will be quite some discussion to be had. A collective groan resounds from the class, now reduced to shuffling out dejectedly. I push the sheet into my bag as I walk along the hallway. I walk along the hallway, crumpling it in the process. It's enough that such troublesome letter ended up on my desk yesterday and now this. I hate English. Hisao. A stern female voice gruffly calls out from behind me. I freeze on the spot, my face becoming like stone. It's as if I can feel my brain disconnecting from my body. My eyes slowly shift right, trying to catch a glimpse of the disembodied voice. Nothing. My face begins to slip as time passes, and I decided to risk turning my head ever so slowly. I twist it to the yeah. I jump into the air and drop my bag, yelling out in surprise. As I recover and regain my composure, I turn to say I should have known. Emmy. Gotcha, Hisaw. My God. Nilalamok ako kahit na pagkalamig. Kailangan ko mag-electric pan. Wala na kaming katol. Hindi ako nakabili. She stands there with a mischievous grin on her face, hands forwards and fingers pointed inward. She was the one who jabbed my ribs with her fingers. I looked down at her with a grimace, rubbing my hair in frustration. That's no way to greet someone, you know. You have no sense of humor. I left my sense of humor in my English class. Complain to the teacher if you want it. Given back to me. If you want it given back to me. She pulls her best puppy dog eyes on me as she pouts. Lily's managed to build up my resistance to the tactic, but Emmy's short stature adds enough to the effect to make me relent. So how are things? I haven't seen you around for a while. Same old, same old. I run so fast nobody wants to join me in my morning runs. It's a real pain. Her modesty never fails to amuse me. Although, you know what I'm thinking, don't you, Hisaw? Wearing my emotion on my sleeve is one of my worst habits. She's been right through me. Ah, ah, she's she's seen right through me. Tama. Fortunately, I see somebody else approaching us that will give me an out. Oh, hi, Hanako. I give her a welcoming wave and try my best at looking like I haven't noticed Emmy's pouting face. She gives a small wave back. Hello, Hisaw. Emmy. Hey, Hanako. I'll join you and Lily in a sec. Actually, speaking of lunchtime company, it's odd to see you without Rin, Emmy. Ah, Rin. Without a second word, she forgets all about us and bolts up the hallway. She must have forgotten she was waiting for her. Hanako and I stand speechless and only able to helplessly stand and watch this ball of seemingly boundless energy dash off. Oh yeah, Hisaw. She suddenly stops herself just before vanishing around the corner of to the rooftop staircase, spinning around to meet our bemused faces. I hate English too. And with that she and with that she disappears. All I can do is hang my head and give a long sigh, thoroughly left in the dust. As I hear a short giggle coming from behind me, I turn to see Hanako smiling at the corner my Itaka rounded. I pick up my drop bag from the floor and quickly dust it off. Afternoon, been busy. You don't like English? Nah, I had a test on it a while back and Emmy caught me brooding about this result. Sorry. She averts her gaze, a guilt written on her face. A casual observer would think she'd just accidentally remind me of a dead relative. Wait, di ba magka-parehas naman kami ng klase? Huh? Come on, it's not your fault. How you're doing it? How are you doing in it? She looks up, though still avoids meeting my eyes. Alright, I suppose. An awkward silence passes. They seem all too common around Hanako. Oh, Lily asked if you'd like to join us for lunch on the roof. I guess I don't exactly have any pressing engagement to attend to. Sure, I'll be light up. I'll go get my lunch from the cafeteria now and then. Go on, you don't need my approval to leave, you know. Okay, I'll be going then. She gives a skittish reply, a small nod, and quickly makes off towards the cafeteria. I guess she must have forgotten to bring lunch today. As I walk through the hallways, wait lang, rooftop? Rooftop? Sabi ba rooftop? Hindi show image, text history. Oh, Lily asked if you'd like to join us for lunch on the roof. Roof? Hindi sa room? Huh? What? Going in the same direction as Hanako went. By the time I manage to make it to the stairs, I'm having to push my way past a busily chatting throng of students. I finally managed to get past the last of the crowd and round the staircase, slumping slightly in relief, slowing my pace before I opened the door to the roof. Ah, damn! I momentarily avert my eyes, all but blinded by the harsh summer sun. Hmm? As I slowly regain my vision, the surroundings finally take form. Lily, Emmy, and Rin sit together on the rooftop. The top of the hilltop forest around Yamako visible past the fence around them as it to frame the view. Ah, Hisaw. Lily and Rin give a quick nod of acknowledgement and a deep nod of greeting respectively. I start walking towards the rather mismatched trio and can't help marveling at the speed with which Emmy devours the rest of her half-eaten banana. Hey, strange to see you three together like this. It seems to have been quite the day. It seems to have been quite the day of coincidence. Emmy and Rin decided to eat on the roof just as Hanako and I decided to. And coincidence, sa tingin ko hindi. Kasi di ba dito kumakain lagi sina ano. Pero what can I say, coincidence pa rin. Kasi, si Lily tsaka ang nag-decide na pumunta dito. You stole it. This spot was ours. Simmer down. You can steal a place in the school. I plunk myself down beside Lily, the four of us creating a semicircle. I think she is right. You too. The butterfly is her accomplice. The butter... As I glanced around, sure enough, a small yellow butterfly across my field of vision. So tell me, how did this butterfly help Lily steal the spot? It scouted out our conversation and told her. I should have known better than to expect sound reasoning from Rin. Regardless, I guess it wouldn't hurt to play along. You're telling me that she can talk to butterflies? There are people who can talk to horses, called horse whisperers. Lily must be a butterfly whisperer. I bury my head in my hands as Emmy rounds on her strange companion. She doesn't seem to share Rin's sense of humor. Whisperers don't work like that. Emmy and Rin continued their banter as I turned to Lily, who was busily finishing off her small box of curry and rice. So, what brought you up here anyway? A little fresh air every now and again doesn't hurt. Ah, Emmy breaks off from her vain attempts to introduce the concept of logic to Rin. That was why we came up here too. Something tells me it was her idea alone, and that Rin only got dragged up here on Emmy's whim. Then again, the same could probably be said of Lily and Hanako. Now, we can share. The creaking of the door to the rope can be heard as soon as she says the words. A moment of silence fall over us as everyone's attention focuses on the figure appearing from it. Hanako slowly walks over to us, her eyes pinned to the ground, silently ruining the attention she's attracting. She tenses just barely when her eyes meet Rin's. I can't help raising an eyebrow as she walks over to us and sits next to me, doing her utmost to avoid looking up even as she brings her cafeteria bread to her mouth. So, how do you and Emmy know each other's anyway? Emmy is somewhat well known around the school for her athletic ability. She's the fastest member of the track and field club by some margin, even beating Miura at the track meet last week. Miki Miura, the tan girl from the front of my class. Considering her height and toned body, being able to beat her is quite an accomplishment. Miki Miura. Miki Miura? Looking over to Emmy, it's very clear that she's well aware of this fact as she beams proudly. So, Hisa, what was your score in English? Ouch. No comment. Boo. She puffs her cheeks and pouts, but it doesn't take long for her to bounce back. Alright, if I tell you mine, you have to tell me yours, deal. Fine, fine. Okay, on the count of three, we won't say our results. 1, 2, 3. 32. So, I beam a mischievous grin. Evil, 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 evil. You said it, not me. Still, the fact that you managed an even lower score than me is kind of amazing. Grrr. She looks and sounds like a small terrier growling at an intruder. I can say it's the most threatening sight I've seen. Either way, scoring higher than 32 isn't something to boast about, much less scoring below it for any subject. Yes, Lily. Sorry, Lily. I could help you with your English if you'd like. It would be my pleasure too. No, that's fine, but I appreciate the thought, really. Lily looks slightly deflated, her hopes of imparting her knowledge dashed. Judging from the badly hidden laughter of the rest of us, neither she nor Emmy seem to have garnered too much pity. Oh my god. As I sit happily laughing though, I feel my voice suddenly cut off as my chest clenches. I sit in silence for a few seconds, all my concentrated force on my heartbeat. It's only a small pain, but the ache feels like it's growing. Oh shit, breathe deeply, breathe deeply. I glance upward to try and keep it at least some of my attention on my surroundings. To see Emmy suddenly freezing when she noticed the expression of pain on my face out of the corner of her eye. Hey, Hisao, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. I look back down and redouble my efforts to try and stay calm, clenching my fist to try and dull the pain. It takes a short time, but the pain takes fully begins to fade. When I look back up, there's only silence and pensive face to be seen. I guess I'd better explain myself. Arrhythmia. I'm fine. It's just a heart flutter. Are you sure? Should we get the nurse? Taking her cue, Hanako quickly picks herself up and begins to dash to the door. Hanako, stop. Lily, I'm fine. You look like a wet, wrinkled tomato. Huh? As I bring my hand to my forehead, I can feel the beads of sweat gathered on it and dab them off with my cuff. Thanks, I told you I'm fine. I'm just kind of fragile, I guess.
The entire atmosphere changed from one of gaiety to downcast faces, the situation being too awkward for anyone to know exactly how to react. And of course, the whole thing is thanks to me. It's just had to happen now, around others. Oh, Emmy. Hmm? She looks up a box of juice halfway to her mouth. I haven't told you of my score yet, have I? Yeah, well, you have four, so your score doesn't score count anyway. Lifting an eyebrow, I can turn to Lily. What was your test result anyway? She gives a quick, cheeky grin. 100% perfect score. What a way to brag. No way. All I can do is hang my mouth open in wonder. Considering those tests are insane even for some native speakers, I can only imagine she's gone and done something like committing to mind part of the dictionary. If a gift for rote memorization, maybe. That's see only someone part foreign could get a score that good. See, er, Lily and I grin at Emmy's expense. Her reaction identical to mine when I'd first tripped on that little landmine. Lily's foreign accessory does raise a point though. Ah, that's right. You live tomorrow for Scotland, don't you? That's correct. Emmy heard some rumors about it. It seems word spreading quickly, considering I only told a friend in my class a couple of days ago. It must be nice to go halfway around the world on a holiday. Hey, could you buy me something while you're there? Don't be too shy now. Lily gives a little light-hearted giggle, evidently fully expecting Emmy's bluntness. The rest of the lunch continues much the same as before. The jauntiness from before my heart flutter, thankfully returning in full. As everyone files off with appropriate farewells, only Lily and are left. Hey Lily. She packs the last of her things into her bag and clips it shut, before perking her head up slightly. Hmm? Um, thanks for breaking the silence back there. I kind of wanted to stop it, but didn't really know how to. As much as I'd like to sound less morose, di ba remorse? Or kung ano man, morose? Sounds less morose about it. The letter from yesterday screwing up at so badly and now my heart making things very hard indeed. She gives an indulgent smile and nods. I hope she oh, hasn't picked up on it, but knowing her, it's unlikely that she hasn't. Em is strong, but only human. We do worry about you, Hisaw. Hold on, why would I worry you? Her smiling face collapsed, becoming uncomfortably serious. Hisaw, we are not ignorant of your situation. Un- unlike She suddenly cuts herself short, unsure of whether she should say what she intends to give. I give a weak smile and rest my hands on her shoulder. Don't. It's enough that I worry about it. I don't want you all to shoulder my burden. But if you all worry about it, I have to worry about your worrying, if that makes sense. I'm fine, okay? You're taking it so lightly, Hisa. Oh my god. For a moment, she looks to be lost in thought, carefully pondering how to react. Hisa, do you have any paper left from your food's packaging? I think so. I'll just check. I rummage around in my bag for the leftovers from lunch, eventually finding a paper square from my sandwich package. My eyebrow raised and my expression rather quizzical. I gently place the square into Lily's hand. Without another word, she brings her finger around it to fill out its edges. This should be large enough. With both of us seated on the roof, the means of to the lesson taking away, she proceeds to lay the item on the ground and begin her work in earnest. Wrapped in silence, I watch her fingers move about on the small square with amazing dexterity. A small fold here, a large fold there. Her fingertips keeps a slow but sure pace. Looking up, her expression is calm and placid. The fact her face is pointed well above the sheet in front of her makes the sight of her work all the more curious. Her shoulders slump a bit after finishing one final fold. Her work apparently done. It's only when she holds the item up in her hands that I realize what it is. Wow, origami. Nice. A small origami crane. Light brown, thanks to the packaging, the result looks quite delicate and precise. You can do origami? I taught myself how to do it when I was younger. It improved my dexterity a bit. Huh. A little baffled, I carefully take the small bird from her pail cupped hands as if it would break from the slightest breath. It seems to be folded quite well and holds its shape easily. We both grab our bags and head out the door, Lily extending her cane as she does so. I hold Lily's handiwork up to my face for further inspection while we walk down the hallway, her hand running along the shiver handrails for orientation. If she taught herself origami to improve her dexterity with the use of her hands, meaning so much to her given her condition. Ah, so that's it. I smile as I realize the bird's meaning. Everyone here has to find their own ways of dealing with their conditions. You aren't alone here when you have problems. Thanks, Lily. I appreciate this. She gives a sweet smile and a nod, not using words where none need to be used, in her typical manner. All I ask is that you take care of yourself, Hisaw. Don't worry, I will. Promise? Promise. And with that, we part ways. To be honest, I don't know what annoys me more, the fact that I could die at any moment or the fact that everyone knows that. I guess I'll just take each day as it comes, as the unexpected present in my hand reminds me. I'm not alone here, even though I may be like this, I'm not alone. If they worry, if anyone worries, I'll smile. I'll smile enough for all their worries to go away. Sheesh! And damn, some hearty heart. The moment the bell rings out, a collective sign of relief comes from everyone. Tutuloy pa ba natin to? Parang late na, pero hindi, okay lang yan. Meron pa naman akong time. Naaga naman ako nagsimula. Yata. From everyone. Much of that morning's been taken up by droning lecture on his stupid potato pa. Stoichiometry, a topic entirely unbefitting of the insufferable heat permeating the classroom. Knowing that's attempt to teach anything more than would be an exercise in futility, Muto gives up and begins clearing the teaching materials from his desk for the day. As meaningless banter starts filling the classroom, I notice Hanako getting up and coming to my desk. She's been a lot less withdrawn lately, something which gives me a small measure of satisfaction. Hello, Hisaw. Hey, want to go pick up Lily then? It's close to the time when she'd need to get going if she's going to make the flight. About that. She said she might be held up a bit by her classmates. I suppose that makes her sense. Her class usually gets off a little earlier than ours, so Lily would normally have just come to our classroom. Her class must be sending her off. Well, never mind. We can wait outside her classroom for once, right? She gives a small giggle before nodding, the two of us taking our things and leaving for Trito's classroom. When we reach our destination, I stop in idle amusement at the scene inside. One of the shorter girls from the class has Lily wrapped in an enthusiastic hug, her head no higher than Lily's chin. Her other friends, of which there are several, are gathered around her as well. Lily simply smiles kindly and hugs her back. I guess Lily must be pretty popular, compared to Shizune's harsh but fair dictatorship. But fair dictatorship of 3-3. Lily seems more like a motherly figure of 3-2, to say nothing of her height and looks. Yes, doon ako nagiging magaling. Ayoko nung harsh sila sa akin. Gusto ko nung yung kino-comfort ako. Doon ako gumagaling. I grow on praises, not on violence. If that makes sense. Ken just pointedly cool demeanor as he packs up his things at his seat in the back corner of the classroom is expected. He's, he's no doubt far from a fan of the fuss being made about Lily's leaving. Looking beside me and seeing Hanako following my gaze, I decide to finally enter the room. Afternoon, Lily. It's just me and Hanako. Hanako withers noticeably when she exposed to the din being made around Lily. Try as she might. I doubt she'll ever completely get over her social anxiety. Hello. Hello. Lily managed to work out our position reasonably well, her classmate detaching herself without a second word. A look of slight exasperation is written on Lily's face, though I can say I blame her. Hello, Hisaw. Hanako, do we have much time before the flight leaves? I give a quick glance at my watch. Taking the trip to taking the trip to the airport into account, there's a good 10, maybe 15 minutes left while still allowing for contingencies. Yeah, we still have a few minutes to kill. I wouldn't worry about missing it yet. Ah, is this Hanako? Ah, oh, I think we've just inadvertently become entangled in Lily's social web. The girl is probably part of the legally blind faction of the class like Kenji. Given her almost window pane like spectacles, her short, roughly cut hair gives her a look that fits her excitable expression. Hello, she takes Hanako's end of it and pulls it up and down enthusiastically. I really don't get how girls can be so social to someone they only know as the friend of a friend. It's the border, you know. Meron sila yung sense of touch, you must say, sense of distance. While Hanako exchanges nervous greetings, I look around the room for my short and overdressed next door neighbor. Try as I might, he seems to have slipped out of the classroom without anyone noticing. For a moment, I try to think of possible career paths that could reasonably benefit from his single skill, before putting my mind to more pertinent matters. Lily seems pleased if somewhat guarded about the enthusiasm Hanako suddenly excited from those around her. She might not see it, but Hanako's much less panic about the fair than I'd anticipated. Shuffling my way through the gaggle of classmates, I eventually managed to reach her. Don't worry, Hanako's fine. Thank you, I thought she might be overwhelmed by them. Don't worry, we'll be gentle. Both of us grimace in unison. Hanako's nervous grin stays plastered on her face as another couple of girls moves into in to meet her. It's kind of amazing that even just a month ago, she'd never have been able to cope with a situation such as this. Even when I first met her, then the two of us completely alone, she sprinted from the library. So got everything you need? It's all packed. I just have to go by my room to pick it up on the way. And Hanako and I need to change. I guess we'd better get going then. Hanako? Hanako's head flicks up towards us in a flash, her rather unmistakably appreciating the chance to extricate herself from the small group gathered around her. Coming. The long taxi ride to the airport is surprisingly pleasant, despite the three of us being rather squashed together to fight in the small back seat. On the other hand, maybe despite isn't the right word. Ugh. Mm. Lily paced the fare to the driver as we filed out, Hanako's eyes flittering left and right. Thankfully, there aren't too many people around, most of them being inside the main building rather than milling around outside. It isn't hard to spot Akira and Hideaki leaning against a fence while talking to pass the time. A large black travel bag complete with wheels and with travel handle leans against the fence alongside them. Hideaki is the first to notice us, pointing us out to Akira who gives an over-enthusiastic wave. Hey! Hey! I grab Lily's travel bag for her as we go to meet the two, earning a nod of appreciation. I've got all my stuff here. You got yours? Plane ticket as well? Don't worry, I have everything. You? Yep, all ready to go. Not without some problems along the way, I might add. The snide remark has his head roughly dragged around a very firmly clamped on hand. Haha, yeah, I kinda sorta forgot it wasn't in my trousers pocket. Trousers that I put in the wash. Oh no. Don't worry, don't worry. Did you know you can print out tickets if you order online nowadays? It's really cool. Hideaki's pain expression says that this wasn't a solution found quickly. It could have been worse, I guess. We'd better start off then. Check-in should be ready by now. Yeah, you're right. There's a certain amount of wistfulness in both their voices, to say nothing of the people left behind. Meeting their family again after all these years would be big for them. Lily. Oh, first time ko nakitang Hanako in a casual coats. Nice! Hanako wraps Lily in a gentle hug to say goodbye, one which is warmly reciprocated. Lily and I share a briefly hug afterward, each of us saying our goodbyes. Besides us, Akira and Hideaki break off from a small hug and a word of or two between them. It would probably look quite nice if not for the almost comical height difference between the two. Lily takes a hold of her sister's arm once all that needs to be said in fairness is said, the two walking past the huge glass doors. Goodbye, Hisao, Hanako. See ya, don't do anything stupid, Shorty. We wave at them until they disappear from sight in the throng of of people moving about inside. And then we're alone. Well, that's that. I turn to see Hideaki already beginning to walk off. See ya. He throws a hand into the air in a manner I'd expect of Akira. In the end, it's just Hanako and me left standing outside. I rest my hand on her shoulder. She absent-mindedly gazes towards the front doors of the building, as if she might catch a glimpse of either of the two before they disappear. Don't worry, the time passed fast. She hesitates for a moment, but eventually nods. With the scorching heat of the summer, sun beaming down on us, we make our way to the nearby bus stop. Sabi nga daw nila, there's, yung parang, yung, yung kapag nawawala, tapos dun, hindi yung nawawala, yung parang, magiging malayo, parang hindi kayo magkikita ng several days or will strong the will reinforce the love or sabi nga daw nila, your relationship. It's strange really just, di ko na maalala, sorry. It's strange really just when I began to see Lily differently. She lives on what almost feels like a pilgrimage to the past. In a way though, that's just what I've been doing since coming to Yamako. As much as I may reflect on everything that's happened to me, I really am hardly unique. Everyone has their own circumstances and separate paths to get where they are now. Yet, I still can't really work out how I should proceed. My life may have practically been reset, and I still can't find anything that satisfactorily fills the hole I still feel in myself. Maybe Lily's leaving will be a good thing for me. Without her to lean on, I'll need to do more for myself. I'll have to be there for Hanako as well. It feels strange to have so much changing so quickly after my months in that hospital that seem to exist so separately from reality. But that's all the more reason for to me to keep focused. I can't let any opportunity slip out my fingers in my attempt to rebuild my life. Hot damn. Oh my god, we're already at Act 3. Hassa! Good, is it, this is a good time to end, right? Good time to end. Ah, beep boop. Save. Create new save state. Continue. Nice. Save. Day by day. Return. Okay, yun na yun. Nice. So, nakatapos na, naka tayo ng Act 3. Oh my God. Nakaabot na tayo ng Act 3. Good. Shit. It, it really is good to know, at being opening up to Lily and our time with Lilly-sama more and more. But with that time, it makes me hold the time that I with her than without her. Yun pala yun. Yung parang mas ma-appreciate mo yung magkasama kasi kaysa wala ka. Basta yung parang kapag yung nasabi ko na rin yata to dati pa yung kapag yung mas ma-appreciate mo kapag nawala na yung isang bagay sa'yo. At yun na yun. Salamat sa pakikinig at panonood ulit ng aking mahiwagang pagbabasa at pagiging weeb sa Katawa Shoujo. Anong part to? Part 5? Ewan ko. Hindi ako masyado ako memory is little. Sorry. At yun na yun. At next ay Act 3 na. Sana ay matapos na agad na makakapag-record ako ng maayos sa mga susunod na araw. At yun na yun. Off na tayo. Johnny, bye-bye!